Are we having fun yet? Got 12 inches of snow, and now it's snowing again. It's supposed to turn to freezing rain tonight. Snow again tomorrow. Snow again Saturday. Hey guys, welcome back. I was all set to talk about this dump truck, and then I had a little accident. It turns out that the gantry crane is a little bit too tall to clear that fluorescent light. So I think you can figure out what happened. It all came crashing down. So I'm gonna pick all the glass out of my hair, clean up this mess, and we'll get on with the program. Okay, let's talk about this truck. I'll try to go real fast. This is a 1985 International single axle dump truck. The model number, it's a 1900 series truck. Its actual model number is 1954, so 1954. I don't know the GVW or axle weight ratings. I would guess it has a 12,000 pound steer, and then the drive is probably a 20 or a 22,000, so somewhere in the 32 to 34,000 pound GVW. It has a mechanical DT466 inline 6-cylinder diesel engine. It has a 5-speed synchronized manual transmission. I believe it's a Fuller. This would have been pre-Eaton Fuller. It has a 2-speed rear axle, so you do get 10 forward ranges. Alright, we'll do a quick walk around of this truck. It does have Dayton style wheels. I know everyone hates them. I don't really mind them. The tires are excellent. In fact, the tires on this truck are worth what I paid for the whole thing. So, worst case scenario, we'll melt her down and save the tires. Mechanical DT466 hidden back in there somewhere. There's your Bosch pump right there. And these are turbocharged engines, but they do not have a charge air cooler on this vintage. That came later. So they're very reliable engines, but they don't make a whole lot of power. And this truck's set up differently from how you would normally spec a dump truck. It doesn't have a PTO powered PTO pump. The hydraulic pump is actually right here, and there's an electric clutch, so it runs right off of the main belt drive on the engine. And you can't use a PTO pump with these trucks because they need live hydraulics for the plow. So you guys probably can't read that. It has 203,996 miles on it. So like I said, it is a manual with the 2-speed. And these are all your controls here for the plow and the salt spreader. There's your salt spreader controls back there. So pretty sparse in here. This truck is old enough it does have the mechanical shutdown. It's going to be hard to see. This is a 10-foot Western plow. And I did get the chains and the whole snowplow frame and the salt spreader. The salt spreader is in pretty sad shape, but the plow is good. It's been, they've run it into stuff and bent it before, but my dad's always been able to straighten it out, so I think it's still good to go. But the box floor is pretty bad. It needs to be replaced. Anyway, that's what we've got to work with. Just an old truck. And the only thing that I really know that's pressing, that's wrong with it, is it has a big coolant leak. And I'm 99.9% sure that it just needs a water pump. But I think we better do a little bit of testing and try to make sure. So that's our task for today. Oh, we're going to use a cooling system pressure tester. So it's got this thing right here. It's your Austin Powers pump. And then we need some kind of adapter. I think we'll probably have to use something like this, which is used with this. Oh. I can't believe it still has these inner fenders. Alright, you guys keep an eye on the water pump. I'm going to do my Austin Powers routine. Alright, what's everybody see? Something. It's leaking somewhere. What the hell's going on here? Uh-oh. It's leaking all over the place. Alright, so it's definitely leaking out of the water pump because you can see it dripping off the block there. I don't know if it's leaking out of the weep hole or if it's just leaking out of the casting. Man, I just can't see it very well. Okay, definitely we got water leaking there. Let me show you something else. Okay, I hope you guys can see the bubbles there. That is a pinhole leak in the upper neck of the radiator. And that's why it's very important to do your own testing. Well, I don't see any reason not to just tear into it. This thing is a belt tightening nightmare. You see the water pump's there. It actually has 6 belt grooves on it. So there's 2 that drive the power steering pump that you can't see here. There's 1 that drives the air compressor, and it also drives that hydraulic pump. There's another 1 just for the hydraulic pump, and then there's 2 more in the back for the alternator. So, good thing it doesn't have air conditioning. Jesus. Okay folks, let's pick up where we left off. Belts are off, and we got to get that fan liberated from the water pump. And normally we'd probably just pull that fan and then kind of set it down inside this shroud up against the radiator. Gingerly, wouldn't hurt a thing, but since we've got to take this radiator out anyway, I think we might as well just go ahead and do that first. Knock on wood, it doesn't look too bad. I did hose down these bolts last night before I went home, but no charge air cooler, no AC condenser, no transmission cooler, no power steering cooler. This is the only thing on the front of the engine, so let's get to it. Oh, baby. Yeah, we might have a chance here. This is one of the handiest tools that I own. This is a hose pick, or a radiator hose pick. This one's made by Mac Tools. I bought this probably 15 years ago, maybe more than that. Anyway, that's the part number right there. I think that's still a good part number from Mac, but they don't make this handle anymore. I think all you can get is the super soft handle. Anyway, I put some links in the description on the last video about the toolbox tour for where you guys can buy some of these tools. I'll put a link to one that's made by Gear Wrench that's very similar to this and quite a bit more affordable. But this thing's awesome. I think I got 3 of these. There we go. There we go. That was the easy one. Alright, the radiator's out. Nothing exciting about that. Just, I had to take the grill out because it wouldn't clear. Normally that's not a problem, but it has that stupid the plow lights. So we gotta get this fan off of here. Oh yeah. Let's see. How do we want to do it? Well, these bolts have to come out eventually anyway, so I guess we might as well do it here. Yeah, we'll try out this indexable pry bar here. Hopefully my camera's still working. It took a pretty good fall. Alright, I think I screwed up. I think I was supposed to take these studs, or these nuts off these studs, and the other bolts are what hold the pulley. This holds the fan. Okay. Oh, we've got a slug of belts. Oh, let's see what we can do here. Gently. There we go. Saw it move. Oh, come on, baby. There it is. Now, if I'm not mistaken, we should be able to get the pulley off here now. But that might be easier said than done. Yeah, there's nothing in the end I can put a puller on except for these studs. But I'm pretty sure the studs are in the water pump. Well, is that right? No, maybe the studs are in the pulley. Oh, fudge. Something's on fire. Well, I don't know. I don't think we're gonna get it. Holy crap. Well, that was fun. Jesus, I'm glad we took the radiator out. It's like there's a dowel pin here and here. There! Nothing to it. All this stuff that came out of the back side of that pulley. Well, I was pretty sure we weren't going to get this pulley off. I had the whole face of it red hot at one point, trying to pull the thing off with that puller that you saw. And it eventually came, but boy, it didn't want to. These are not supposed to be a press fit. I think what happened is that just a bunch of mud and stuff got built up in the back side of this pulley, and it just It just rusted itself on. You know, this truck's spent a lot of time on gravel roads. So anyway, we got it off, but I did cause some damage. So you see right here, I don't know if you can tell in the camera, but I hit that with my hammer, and I dented the face of the pulley, and you can feel it inside the groove. And there's a couple other, yeah, there's a mark here too where I hit it this way, which I shouldn't have done that. And I should have just stuck with the puller and kept the hammers away. Anyway, I've got to fix this. We can't put it back together like it is. It'll just chew the belts up. So I won't record that, but I'll just grind this area out and braze it up, and then we'll machine this one groove back to size, and everything will be fine. What are you doing? Are you stealing Dad's tools? Yeah, good thing we got those latches, huh, kid? Hey, lift up. Lift. Look. Here, lift up. There we go. Now you can get all the fun stuff. Yeah, that's a good one. Spray that in your eye. That's the coolant filter right there. She does not want to come off, so we'll try a little trick here. See if we can make it spin. Well, we gotta get it off there now. Oh, so much fun. Look at that. Works every time. Except when it doesn't work. Which is a lot of times. I'll have to see if Napa can translate these hieroglyphics for me. I'm pretty sure it says Fleet Guard WF2051. Looks like it's been on there since Christ was a cowboy. The thing was nasty on the inside. Anyway, we're changing the coolant, so we're going to change the coolant filter. And not all engines have coolant filters. Even some wet sleeve diesel engines don't have coolant filters, but this one does, so it's getting a new one. Well, we got another 4 inches of snow last night, so it's turning out to be a real winter. The pile keeps growing. Okay, where were we? This is the new water pump. It does not come painted. I had to do that. Here's the part number for it on the box. So it says renewed here from Navistar. There's your part number, assembled in the USA. I tried to find a reman. Napa did a nationwide search, could not find one. Couldn't find a rebuilder who could rebuild mine. I tried one other source, couldn't find it. I couldn't buy a kit to rebuild the one I had, so I just went to the dealership and bought this one. And it's new. There's no core charge. The old one goes right in the scrap bin. Also, I got the pulley all fixed up. I had to make an arbor to mount the pulley on to machine it, so I just went ahead and trued up all the pulley grooves while I was at it. So anyway, that was a careless mistake, but I don't think we're any worse off for it. Okay, also I got a coolant filter. This is the same coolant filter that's used on my Cummins, the L10. They're all pretty much the same. So you hear this, what's rattling around in there? That's your SCA pre-charge. So basically we're going to put regular coolant in this thing with no charge, and the stuff that's inside the filter will percolate through, and it'll get our coolant charged up just the way we want it. I used some high tech on the gasket, and for years and years I always used this stuff right here with the the brush in the can, and I didn't know there was an aerosol version until I saw it on South Main Auto. Definitely a lot more handy. Alright, we'll hope that'll hold that in place while we put the pump in. And these water pump bolts don't go all the way through. They're not wet, so you don't have to worry about putting any kind of sealant on them. Okay, pulley time. Got a little bit of anti-seize on that hub. Just to save the next guy, put a bolt hole at the top. Yeah, that's what it should do. It should just slide right on there. Okay. This is a viscous drive on the fan, which that was pretty much what they had before computers. And you can see I went ahead and installed the belts first because it's a whole lot more of a pain to go around the fan. Okay, the fan's all tight. You might want to leave your belts loose until after you had the fan installed, just so you can roll the pulley over. Doesn't really matter on this one. Now I was thinking about this. I think what I should have done in order to pull this pulley off, instead of using the little puller like I did, which was fine, I think what I should have done is back these studs out. There's 6 studs here. They're 5/16 fine thread on the outside, but they're just 5/16 regular coarse thread on the inside. And then I could have taken 6 bolts with a long threaded section and run those in there and used them like jam bolts to pull that pulley off. I think that probably would have worked better than the actual for real puller that I was using on it. But that sucker was really on there. Well, I took my radiator in and they cleaned it up and had a look at it. Basically it needs a ton of work. The core is leaking. The core is also pretty well plugged, and it was leaking, of course, right there at the neck. And then he said it was also leaking on the top tanks around where these braces are. So he quoted me $675 to repair the core or replace the core, or $875 to buy a new one, which would be an aftermarket, repop. So what I chose to do is to buy a used radiator. This one came from a local salvage yard, $250. It's used, came out of another international truck, and they basically pressure test them, and as long as they pass the pressure test, they sell them and they're good to go. Now it does come with a warranty, 30-day warranty just on the parts, no labor. So if it doesn't hold water, we can get our money back. It's in kind of rough shape. I'd say it's probably been recored once before because the core is a little bit thinner than the core on the old radiator. It's also been patched once before. There's a spot up here in the corner where a couple of the tubes are sealed off. So the best thing to do would have been to record the old one, but that's a whole lot of money to pour into this old truck. So I think this used one will be fine for what we're going to do with it. So if at all possible, I would recommend not buying an aftermarket radiator. If that's your only choice, that's fine, but I've had pretty bad luck with them. I know we had one time that we put into an international, I think it was a 9400 Eagle at a N14 Cummins, and the radiator leaked, and the guy chose to buy an aftermarket repop radiator, and it didn't fit. We kind of modified the holes and stuff to make it fit, and then it just would never cool right, and it was constantly overheating. He ended up taking that radiator back out, basically tossing it in the trash, buying a used radiator from a junkyard, having it record, then installing that into his truck, and it solved his overheating problems. But shortly after that, that truck spun a main bearing. So I don't think that's a coincidence. He got it hot too many times. There we go. These radiator hoses can be a real bear. Sometimes it's helpful to take the heat gun and just kind of warm up the rubber. Makes it a little bit more pliable. Alright, did everybody hear that? It popped my bleed screw completely out and started pouring coolant all over the floor. Well, that was close. Okay, there we go. I'd say it holds every bit of 6 gallons. So this is the bleed screw I was talking about on top of the thermostat housing. I'm not sure, it might be for a heater application or something, but works pretty good for bleeding the system out. Let's go for a little shimmy. Does anybody know how to drive this thing? Oh, baby. So it's a synchronized transmission. It's just like driving a big pickup. Shifts are a little tricky. It's synchronized, but it's a lot of inertia, so sometimes you gotta kind of match the RPMs a little bit. And it's a 2-speed axle, so if you want to, you can kind of drive it like a Super 10. Get an extra gear between each lever shift. But the axle shift is kind of dependent on RPM, so sometimes you gotta play with the throttle in order for the axle to drop in. I think this one's electric. Some of them are air, some of them are vacuum. Just kind of depends on how they're set up. It's a beautiful day, but man, it's cold. It's like 7 degrees Fahrenheit here, minus 15 Celsius. The clutch to shift the rear axle. I guess you could if you wanted to, but it doesn't really help. Well, we're not loaded, so we don't really need it. Man, this truck really drives nice. And it's so short, it just turns on a dime. Some of these 2-speed axles, like in the old GM grain trucks that we used to work on, they had what they called a short fourth. So because of the way that the transmission gearing is set up, you get ahead of yourself with the rear axle. So basically you have to shift 4, let's see, how does it go? Yeah, you shift to 4th gear low axle, then you shift to 5th gear low axle, then you go back to 4th gear high axle, and then back to 5th gear high axle. Now, I think that's limited to GM transmissions, but yeah, I have seen that before. It's called a short fourth. garage keeper's insurance that covers us in case anything happens. And, you know, we're not using the vehicle for commercial purposes, so we can talk our way out of that. But we'll stay off the main roads here. We'll be fine. So I think in these trucks, first gear and reverse is not synchronized. You kind of have to be stopped in order to go to reverse or first gear. So I'll show you like a typical way you would drive one of these 2-speed axles. So you start out in first or low gear, and then go to high. And then once you're kind of in high axle and out of the low gears, you just stay in high axle. Down a gear, you can always use the axle. Basically just splits your gear for you. Like a Super 10, I guess. I like these old Internationals. These are tough trucks. They're not very fancy or comfortable, but they are tough. Looks good. I don't see any leaks.